Good morning, gardeners, and welcome to Monday, August 28th. My name is Catherine, and I created a show called Good Morning Gardeners, even though I can't grow green things because I am referring to gardening metaphorically. We're starting our morning by getting in the right mindset to cultivate a better life for ourselves, better communities, and a better world. We are planting the seeds for a better day. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to add Good Morning Gardeners to your morning routine. I do my best to wake you up with positive and mentally stimulating ideas, but sometimes I miss things. So if you have something to add to the ideas that I discussed today, please chime in the comments section below. For today's daily Stoic reading, the title is The Opulent Stoic, and it begins with a quote from Seneca. The founder of the universe, who assigned to us the laws of life, provided that we should live well, but not in luxury. Everything needed for our well-being is right before us, whereas what luxury requires is gathered by many miseries and anxieties. Let us use this gift of nature and count it among the greatest things. The authors add, even in his own time, Seneca was criticized for preaching Stoic virtues while accumulating one of the largest fortunes in Rome. Seneca was so rich that some historians speculate that major loans he made to the inhabitants of what is now Britain caused what became a horrifically brutal uprising there. His critics' derisive nickname for him was the Opulent Stoic. Seneca's response to this criticism is pretty simple. He might have wealth, but he didn't need it. He wasn't dependent on it or addicted to it, nor, despite his large bank account, was he considered to be anything close to Rome's most lavish spenders and pleasure hunters. Whether his rationalization was true or not, or whether he was a tad hypocritical, he is a decent prescription for navigating today's materialistic and wealth-driven society. This is the pragmatic instead of the moralistic approach to wealth. We can still live well without becoming slaves to luxury. And we don't need to make decisions that force us to continue to work and work and work and drift further from study and contemplation in order to get more money to pay for the things that we don't need. There is no rule that says financial success must mean that you live beyond your means. Remember, humans can be happy with very little. So this morning, gardeners, we are talking about consumerism, or consumer culture. Wikipedia defines consumerism as a social and economic order in which the goals of many individuals include the acquisition of goods and services beyond those that are necessary for survival or for traditional displays of status. And consumer culture, according to Wikipedia, is a lifestyle hyper-focused on spending money to buy material goods. It is often attributed to, but not limited to, the capitalist economy in the United States. So when I first moved to Germany, a little over 2 years ago now, one of the most difficult culture shocks for me was the much lower priority that the German culture places on the consumer, or, consuming things or shopping. When I lived in the States, I would often go shopping on the weekends simply because there was little else for me to do where I lived, and I enjoyed shopping. I didn't really need anything, of course, besides maybe some food for the week. But that didn't stop me from combing the aisles at big box stores like Target. In Germany, all shops are closed on Sundays. Most shops close on weekdays around 5 p.m., although some stores, like grocery stores, stay open until 7 p.m. Thanks to the cultural influence of immigrants, there are some shops that open on Sundays during the summer. Many cities have Sunday shopping days, which might be once per month in the summer months, or maybe even once per summer season. But unless you go to a really big city like Berlin, I don't think it's possible to find a 24-hour shop in Germany. And I live very far from Berlin, and the closest city to where I live is over 40 minutes away. So when I moved here, my lifestyle habits quickly conflicted with the shopping norms of Germany. As I never had time to shop during the limited weekday hours and I couldn't shop on Sunday, I had to learn how to cram all of my shopping into one day a week, Saturday. And at the time, that seemed like a really difficult challenge. And it was really hard for me to learn how to do that. I actually experienced a really awkward period where I had nothing to do on Sunday because there were no shops open and I had no idea, what I was supposed to do with myself. So I started spending my Sundays participating in the national pastime of hiking. And after a while, I noticed that I started to resent the amount of time that I spent in shops on Saturday because I had discovered that there was actually so much else for me to do on the weekends, like going to museums, going to parks, going to spas and pools and festivals. I started cramming my grocery shopping in on Friday evenings after work so I could have my entire weekend free from what I now consider to be a tedious chore. This drastic perspective shift caused me to realize that when I saw shopping as a hobby, the way I was shopping, it wasn't actually a hobby. It was more like an addiction. I left my house every weekend to find something. I was searching for what I believe is a feeling. Sometimes I didn't find that feeling, and when that happened, I returned home feeling disappointed. Sometimes I did find that feeling by buying things, but somehow the feeling always seemed to fade away just in time for the next weekend shopping trip. For our learning moment today, I want to share Douglas Rushkoff's words about consumer culture from his book, Team Human. He writes, "The hardest thing for animators and roboticists to simulate is a living human being. When an artificial figure gets too close to reality, not so close as to fool us completely, yet close enough that we can't quite tell what's wrong, that's when we fall into a state of unease known as the uncanny valley." Roboticists noticed the effect in the early 1970s, but movie makers didn't encounter the issue until the late 1980s, when a short film of a computer-animated human baby induced discomfort and rage in test audiences. That's why filmmakers choose to make so many digitally animated movies about toys, robots, and cars. These objects are easier to render convincingly because they don't trigger the same mental qualms. We experience vertigo in the uncanny valley because we've spent hundreds of thousands of years fine-tuning our nervous systems to read and respond to the subtlest cues in real faces. We perceive when someone's eyes squint into a smile, or how their face flushes from the cheeks to the forehead. And we also, at least subconsciously, perceive the absence of these organic barometers. Simulations make us feel like we're engaged with the non-living, and that's creepy. We confront this same sense of inauthenticity out in the real world too. It's the feeling we get when driving past fake pastoral estates in the suburbs, complete with colonial pillars and horse-tie rings on the gates. Or the strange verisimilitude of Las Vegas's skylines and Disney World's Main Street. It's also the feeling of trying to connect with a salesperson who sticks too close to their script. In our consumer culture, we are encouraged to assume roles that aren't truly authentic to who we are. In a way, this culture is its own kind of simulation, one that requires us to make more and more purchases to maintain the integrity of the illusion. We're not doing this for fun, like trying on a costume, but for keeps, as supposedly self-realized lifestyle choices. Instead of communicating to one another through our bodies, expressions, our words, we do it through our purchases, the facades on our homes, or the numbers in our bank accounts. These products and social markers amount to pre-virtual avatars, better suited to game worlds than real life. Most of all, the uncanny valley is the sense of alienation we can get from ourselves. What character have we decided to play in our lives? That experience of having been cast in the wrong role or in the wrong play entirely is our highly evolved BS detector trying to warn us that something isn't right, that there's a gap between reality and the illusion we are supporting. This is a setup. Our deeper sensibilities are telling us. Don't believe. It may be a trap. And although we're not Neanderthals being falsely welcomed into the enemy camp before getting clobbered, we are nonetheless the objects of an elaborate ruse, one that evolution couldn't anticipate. Our uneasiness with simulations, whether they're virtual reality, shopping malls, or social roles, is not something to be ignored, repressed, or medicated, but rather felt and expressed. These situations feel unreal and uncomfortable for good reasons. The importance of distinguishing between human values and false idols is at the heart of most religions, and is the starting place for social justice. The uncanny valley is our friend. So, I've shared the Stoic philosophy on economic consumption. I have shared my own experience breaking a shopping habit, and now I have shared Douglas Rushkoff's criticism of consumer culture. But for our feel-good moment today, I want to start by reminding you that wherever you are right now with this issue is nothing anyone can judge you for. I believe our consumer habits are largely the product of our environments. I grew up in the US, one of the biggest concentrations of consumer culture today. I was inundated with ads and surrounded by enormous shopping centers. Of course, I developed a shopping habit. It would have been strange if I didn't. For me, Douglas Rushkoff's description of assuming a role that isn't authentic to, who one truly is really resonates with me when I think about this issue, because I do believe that being a consumer or a shopper isn't really part of my true identity. It's just a role that I was playing because I was cast into a play from birth. And finding a way to reject this role has been satisfying, fulfilling, and incredibly freeing for me. In Ancestors Said by Ehime on August 28th, it's okay to change. Do not let anyone shame you for it. We go through experiences that change us because we don't live this life to remain the same. Those that shame you for changing see the way that you can adapt and flow, while they stay stuck and unmoving. Focus moment today. I offer you one simple question that you can ask deciding whether or not to buy something. Will this purchase reinforce my true self, or will it reinforce an inauthentic role that I am playing? The beauty of this question is that the answer will be different for everyone, and no one can know the real answer except for you. This means that you must be able to tap into your own intuition and follow your gut feelings. If you're not there yet, that's okay. Keep working on it and you'll get there. I know I'm still working on tapping into my own intuition myself. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will speak with you again tomorrow.